After I spoke to him, I was like, oh, Candace has no chance. She's going to become a Catholic.
Oh, you're not doing it.
I actually don't believe in birth control.
No? You're just doing it the Catholic way, just like whatever
My
happens?
husband's so Catholic, like beyond. He's the
But then you
Catholic.
could have 12 kids.
I know. It's dangerous.
To become a student of history means to become a Catholic.
Catholicism and a new dimension of Owens' rhetoric.
People ask me, Candace, when are you going to share your conversion story? Why the Catholic Church? How did you get there? You guys are definitely sensing that there has been a change in me over the last year, and there certainly has been a change in me in the last year. And while I'm still not fully there yet and ready to talk about that story, I can tell you for sure that the expression that to become a student of history means to become a Catholic is something that I have taken to heart and that I believe to be real. There are a lot of aspects right now of people recognizing that we are in this spiritual battle. We can't make sense of a lot of the things that are happening here in the West.
Perhaps the most striking shift post-Farmer is Owens' embrace of Catholicism. Conversion. In April 2024, Owens formally converted to Catholicism at the Brattam Oratory in London, a bastion of a Latin Mass traditionalism. She declared, to know history is to become Catholic, which is very, very, very interesting to me. And the rate at which she defends Catholicism and villainizes Protestants and every other religion. The funny thing is she says those religions are evil, they are small divided, so there is nothing holy or very good about it. And it baffles me that she is such an amazing investigator, right? She even has an intelligence agency, the Mommy Slew Intelligence Agency. How come she has not done even one part series on the Catholic Church? Because if she had done one part series on the Catholic Church, she would worship her God in the Catholic Church and go in peace. She would not be telling us this history, because I could do a 70 part on Catholic Church and we will not end because we need 900 parts. And she tells me that the Protestants are more evil in Catholic. Ma'am, have several seats, please. The day you decide to do a deep dive on Catholic Church, call me, we'll have a conversation. Until then, just worship your Catholic, go and say hello to Mary in peace, and just don't let me talk, please. Her alignments, her pro-life advocacy and defense of traditional family structure aligns naturally with the Catholic teachings, which made sense, of course. Influence of Farmer. George Farmer's own Catholic conversion and theological background appears to have been decisive in her religious journey. But this shift is complicated. Owens' commentary has sometimes clashed with Catholic social teachings, especially through controversial statements about Judaism, Israel, and global conflicts. These controversies led to her departure from the Daily Wire in 2024, raising questions about how her Catholic identity intersects with her more combative style. In other words, while Candace Owens' Catholic turns add depth to her rhetoric, it also adds tension. Part 5. Connecting the dots. Specific examples. Pre-Farmer Owens on race, she was focused on U.S. issues like systemic racism, often dismissing them in favor of personal responsibility. Post-Farmer Owens on civilization frames issues as part of a broader decline on Western civilization, invoking religious and traditional values. Pre-George Farmer on religion played a minimal role in her commentary, and she was Protestant. But post-George Farmer on faith, Catholicism now serves as both personal identity and a rhetorical foundation, adding a layer of authority to her arguments on morality. But then, that has a thing that irks me about it, because she places the Catholic Church on a moral compass that makes them look like this holier-than-thou, clean-cut religious institution without any history of problems. Meanwhile, the church is steeped in all kinds of controversies. If she went to the Catholic Church, worshipped her Mary or Jesus Christ in peace without demonizing the Protestant church, then we could have a conversation of, okay, yeah, she can have what she's doing. But the fact that she continues to sound like, and then when she's caught in the lie, she says, We are all Christians. Ma'am, when you said someone was too smart to be a Protestant, did you not remember that they were also just Christians? And the truth is this, to me, Candace Owens will never be someone I consider religious. She has no religious depth in my eyes, for me. When I watch someone who has religious depth, it's easy to find. Her, no. And that is just the thing, because honestly, I think that she should pay attention to the way she spreads out certain things. Now, let's look at her style before and after George. Before George, yes, she's always been the quick-witted lady, viral, often owning the lips. And also after George, still combative, but occasionally more philosophical, waving in history and theology, but still viral, quick-witted, and all of that. But let's see how this changes with time. Implications and the future of Candace Owens' influence. Candace Owens' rhetorical evolution has major implications. For her audience, some fans embrace her move towards faith and tradition as a sign of maturity, while others worry she's moving away from the populist firebrand that first attracted them. And like I've said before, she would lose some fans on the way while gaining some, because people will find some of the things she says too much for them. Others will say, oh, she lost me here. And she will find new fans who enjoy what she's saying. And that is what happens when these people who become so popular in time, this is what happens with them. They gain more followers, lose a few, but they keep going until they reach their peak. And that is something that's not going to change in Candace Owens' case. For conservatism, Owens' blend of American populism, European traditionalism, and Catholic identity may foreshadow a new hybrid strain of right-wing discourse. And one thing I can tell you is this: most of the right-wing persons or personalities in public are mostly Catholic and also traditional. Well, it's part of their motto, so what am I talking about? For public figures in general, her case illustrates how personal relationships, particularly marriage, can reshape public messaging and ideology. And this is not very different from other people, because the truth is this: whether you are what kind of person, when you are in a relationship with someone, some of their ideologies will rub off on you. Some of their practices will rub off on you. And now it depends which of those practices you let rub off on you. Will it be the positive ones or the negative ones or all of them? Because there are some people who just go with the wind. Whoever they are associated with, who they are dating, who they are married to, they tend to just hibernate and turn into that person. Others will just pick up certain characteristics. So now what you pick up or how you pick up or handle yourself, depending on your previous personality, if you are someone who has principles or your own personality, it depends now on all of those factors. And if you are not able to have your own personality, then you will be a wind that is being blown up and down. But we can tell Candace always has had her personality even before George, which is why some of those things will not change. Yes, he might temper some of her bombastic nature and make her a little more toned down and a little more calm and relaxed to listen to a couple of people she might not listen to before, or she will be very combative with before, but it doesn't still change who she is. She has always had that personality of vavavoom out there. And it's something I've noticed. Recently, you can see Candace have a conversation with people that she doesn't agree with, or people have or are doing things that she by principle don't agree with, but you will find her sit there, have a conversation with them, even though she will still be dissing them in that very calm, British, sarcastic way where they are smiling with you, sipping tea, but insulting the hell out of you.
Be me lecturing, but I just feel like you really have no idea who you are until you start a family. Times when I see the things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. It's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is fine. That's what you're saying. You like being selfish is another way to say what you just said. I like being selfish and I don't want to give of myself to somebody else.
So that is something I've noticed with her, but it is just because her husband's British retired persona is rubbing off on her. So it's giving her a little temper, a calm middle somewhere, which is very nice. I hope she can hone into it and really use it properly. But unfortunately, Candace these days, I don't understand. Hopefully she needs rest. Let her take a vacation or something. Now, these are some open questions that we might like to continue asking ourselves. Will Candace Owens lean fully into Catholic traditionalism or balance it with her American populist base? But from what I can tell, she's going to go outwards. Her American populist base is going to lose her because she's starting to sound more like she's no longer interested in American politics, or she's just willing to criticize it from the outside, not like a Republican anymore. She now sounds just like a conservative woman rather than a Republican conservative woman, if you get what I mean. How will controversies surrounding her rhetoric affect her credibility within the Catholic community? And that is one thing that is very interesting, because I can imagine how it is going to be like with her sounding all of these alarm bells. And yes, before, so many of those bells, people could stand behind and say, you know what, this is something we like. But as the days go by, she keeps pushing them. She pushes them. She pushes them. And it's to a point where some people are finding it extremely difficult to still swallow and bend and listen to what she's saying and say, you know what, we can stand by this. So I really wish to be a fly in her community, her Catholic community, to see how this is playing over there. If I was in the UK, I will find a church Candace Owens attend, and I will attend it on one of the Sundays she attended, just to see the atmosphere. You know, if you're in London and you've ever attended church where she does, please let me know how it feels like. And I would like to be a fly inside her house, because one thing I can say is this: either George Farmer is as messy as Candace Owens is, or he is suffering from what she is doing, because anybody who is as calm as he presents himself to be will be in shambles from the way she is going recently. She is off the chains. Another thing we would like to ask is if her shift are genuine personal growth, or largely the influence of George Farmer's network or worldview, or if it is just because Candace Owens is willing to push wherever popularity will take her. Well, in conclusion, before George Farmer, Candace Owens was a distinctive American conservative firebrand, loud, provocative, and centered on domestic culture wars. After George Farmer, her rhetoric took a broader scope, traditionalist, global, and rooted in Catholic thought. What hasn't changed is her confidence, her willingness to confront opponents, and her dedication to conservative causes. What has changed is the depth, the framing of her rhetoric, from American populism to a blend of populism and Catholic traditionalism. Now, ultimately, Candace Owens' story is about more than just one individual. It highlights how personal relationship, marriage, and faith journeys can shape not only private lives, but also public discourse. And that is something that is going to be true for every individual. No matter what you go through in life, religion, marriage, public changes, change in status, personal, it will always affect who you are as a person, one way or the other, either positively or negatively. And what you take out of those experiences will depend on who you are as a person to begin with. What are your personal values, beliefs, and principles? And those are the things that will shape how you take every experience you encounter to move forward. Well, let's see how Candace advances from where we are, because where we are is pretty dark. Well, until next time. Bye. So good.